Good morning. My name is Caroline Boyd-Rogers, and right now, I'm learning all of your emotions based on your body language. Oh, look, we have some definite boredom up there. Sorry, guys. And some nervousness over there. It's okay, guys, you'll be fine. It's not that bad. There we go. The shift from boredom to self-consciousness. Beautiful. These strategies are often studied by law enforcement, gamblers, politicians, and paranoid spouses. Boredom often looks something like this. Basically, your hand supports the weight of your head. Boredom and interest are slightly different and can change within a second. Interest, boredom. Very simple. If you need an example, watch your classmates during a really long lecture. Now, self-consciousness can be used with the basic arm cross, or for those more attuned to body language, a half cross. People can also use a barrier, such as a bag or a purse, in times of insecurity. It's often a good lifeline, such as a podium, when they're not entirely sure what they might be doing. When someone's insecure, you might see them rubbing their palm, as a mother might do to a small child. But for a good first impression, you need to try to avoid all of these insecurities to have a very open and welcoming posture. I'm interested in studying body language and psychology in general because not only is it an involuntary form of communication, it can also be used as subconscious persuasion. It's like the movie Inception, just not cool enough to make you sit through 3 hours of it, but definitely cool enough to make a career out of it. Mark Bowden is a leading world psychologist and has honed in on these manipulation strategies that you can use in the workplace and just generally in making connections. So at this time, Maddie, can you give me a hand? Everyone has what we call a personal bubble. And Mark Bowden's theory is that when making eye contact in a business setting, you should be able to see the tops of their shoes in your peripheral vision. Now, when giving a handshake, you're going to have to void this space, but it's okay because the palm-to-palm contact derives from an age-long tradition of asserting that you have no weapons and that you're trustworthy. Now, if you see someone is nervous at a party, when shaking their hands, turn your hand under and pull it forward slightly. This will feel awkward because what you're doing is you're giving up your power to allow them to be dominant, showing them that they can be confident around you, secure, and trustworthy. In turn, if you want to manipulate someone, and you'll turn your hand over so that you're dominant, push it towards them, which their subconscious will read as a stabbing motion, and suddenly they're intimidated. And if that doesn't work, you can always just arm wrestle. When trying to study body language, the very best people to go to are children, because they have no idea what their body is doing while they're reacting to the environment around them. For instance, if a kid hears something they don't like, they put their hands over their ears. This can be a siren, a scolding, or a, no, you cannot go get ice cream. That ice cream truck man is very creepy. And so while adults don't go around in their interviews like this, you do know if someone doesn't like what they hear because they might tug at their ear or brush their hair over their ear. When children lie, they cover their mouths. When teenagers lie, helpful hint parents, they might put their hands here. It's a subconscious tool to try to block what's coming out of your mouth to expose as false. Now, when adults lie, you'll often see them brush their hand over their mouth or rub the top of their lip. As many of you know, when children lie, they avoid eye contact at all costs. But what you might not know is that adults do this too. They just cover it up by rubbing their neck. But the real question, how do I know if that super attractive boy is flirting with me? Very simple. Preening methods are used by both males and females and can be shown through the fixing of one's hair, fixing a collar, and males especially will often push their hips forward with their chest out to resemble a bird. Now, guys, if you're really concerned about whether the girl's into you, tell a bad joke and see how she responds. Very interesting, when in a circle of people, look at foot direction. All of their feet are directed towards the very pretty girl because she's the focus. She doesn't even have to speak. The one who's either the one everyone's attracted to or the dominant of the conversation will have the most feet pointed towards them. Confidence can be shown in many ways. A prime example is the steepling of one's hands. It's often exhibited by our favorite 12th grade English teacher, as here, when you're speaking, to direct attention to your mouth, and here, when you're listening, to direct the attention to the seat of your power. It can also be shown through possessiveness, which is when you sprawl out your body to show that you own everything, and self-affirmation, which derives from a basic thumb-up gesture. This can be when you cross your arms, that your thumbs go up, or when you hook onto belt loops, your hands are out. Hands behind back is a sign of extreme confidence and is shown by our very attractive British royal. But an interesting thing about this gesture is that the higher the hand goes up the arm, the angrier the person has become. So with a hand at the wrist, you might try to prevent yourself from slapping someone, but at the hand of a shoulder or the arm, you're trying to prevent giving someone a blow to the face. Micro-expressions are what I'm most interested in studying because they're the most telling. They're the expressions that come out before your conscious can block your subconscious movement. These are often studied by poker players and last for a millisecond, and they're basically modified versions of bigger expressions. So, hopefully from this speech, you've learned something about how to recognize when you're being manipulated, but more importantly, how to manipulate.